Hey everyone, my name is Dr. Dolores Tarver. I'm a licensed psychologist here in Georgia, and it is time for the Tea Time with Dr. Tarver is a wellness-based podcast. It is not intended to be a substitute for a relationship with a licensed mental health provider. Welcome to May. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and we're so excited about this series entitled Maximizing My Mental. We're going to be focusing on mental wellness this month, and it's a good time for you to conduct your mental health checks. So there may be some areas that are out of balance in your life, and it is a perfect time to create some plans in order for you to address those areas that are out of balance so you can live the fulfilling life that you deserve. This week, we are discussing the power of healthy relationships on our mental wellness, entitled Finding My People: Positive Impacts of Healthy Relationships on Mental Health. I've talked to you all before about the World Health Organization, which identifies 8 wellness areas: social wellness, intellectual wellness, financial wellness, career wellness, spiritual wellness, physical wellness, mental wellness, and environmental wellness. And so we're going to talk today about social wellness. And that can include things just like pursuing satisfactory relationships with other people, respecting the differences of groups and individuals. I know that seems like a foreign concept these days. Being able to resolve conflicts in healthy ways, contributing to some type of social organization or social event or area of social awareness in your community, so you're helping the impact of your fellow brothers and sisters. Maybe you are recognizing who you are and your role in society, and then also just understanding who you are within your larger community as a social being. And so, whatever it is that you're looking for with regard to meaningful relationships of social engagement, this is the area that we have actually shown with research benefits us in a variety of ways. So, with people who have social support, and that can be family, that can be family you're born into, or your chosen family, friends, actively involved in their communities, tend to be happier, have fewer health problems, and live longer. And I know you all are thinking, well, how is that? Because aren't people stressful? Well, if you have healthy social connections, and that is the point of this episode, healthy social connections, they actually do relieve stress. We know that stress has adverse effects on our body, including our coronary functioning, our heart health, our gut functioning, how we regulate insulin in our bodies, and our overall immune system. When we are in stress, we produce more stress hormones, but when we engage in caring behaviors or receive caring behaviors, that actually triggers the release of stress reducing hormones. So our immune system functions better. We have decreased risk for illness, disease, and even injury. Our quality of life and the longevity of our lives increases. We also actually get over illness much faster. So there are a lot of benefits with regard to us being in communion with each other. Not to mention, our social support system can serve as accountability. They can help us when we're dealing with difficult things like grief and transitions, loss of abilities. Maybe they can help us as we're trying to figure out next steps in our careers, because again, they can help us with accountability, but also may be able to give us advice. And we frequently give other people advice. We receive help from people, we give help to people. We receive affection from people, we give affection to people. All of these types of things are so very helpful in having a healthy support network. And social wellness is one of those areas that can be very flexible. So you can meet up with people in a variety of ways. You don't have to spend a lot of money. And so we're going to talk about what some of those things may look like. We all enjoy a good family gathering when we are around. Maybe it's the annual barbecue, maybe it's the family reunion that you have. Perhaps it's time with friends when they come over and they may cook. We'll make a meal together. Perhaps we're playing games together in your faith communities, at choir rehearsal. We love game night and karaoke, fishing, hiking, swimming, going to parks. Who doesn't like a good roller coaster? Okay, I know everybody doesn't like roller coasters, but you probably do like the games that are at theme parks, or maybe you like some of the characters that are there. Game rooms, we can do laser tag or bowling, mini golf. Some of you like paintball. There's also workplace activities. You may be on a committee at work, or a committee in your community that you're working with. You might be part of a social organization that does things in your community. Your church may have a wellness ministry. It could have a ministry that focuses on feeding people or offering shelter or clothing for people. It may be that you're a part of a reading group or a knitting group or a painting group. And maybe you're a member of a support group that offers you assistance in an area of recovery. These are all examples of healthy engagements. Perhaps you're a video person, and so you're talking to people who live in different countries or live in different states, and you're seeing their faces through video technology. Or maybe you're calling to check on people when you know they're not feeling well, or you're giving a word of encouragement. Maybe somebody who recently experienced something pretty devastating in their lives. We know there's fires, floods, there's violence, there's grief, all of these things that occur, and a good phone conversation can make all the difference. We also are very aware that dating relationships and marriages, when they're healthy, offer us a good quality of life, that we tend to feel much better when we have our partners with us, which is why it's so hard for people when there's breakups or there's losses of grief. Widows and widowers really struggle because we recognize the impact of a healthy partnership. So, what are some things that can make relationships healthier? So, we know they have this great potential, but what can we do to actually have a healthy relationship? Because I do recognize that not all relationships are created equal, and they're definitely not all created healthy. So, a healthy relationship would look like empathic, non judgmental listening. We've all been in positions where we've offered unsolicited advice, or people have given us unsolicited advice. And when you're in a place of struggle, the last thing sometimes you want to hear is being reminded of what you already know you're struggling with. Now, on the other hand, some constructive feedback when you're in a place to receive it can work out well, but it's important for us that we know what boundaries are for ourselves and other people. So that being courteous, respectful, mindful, not only of what people are experiencing, but also their time. Right? So you don't want to be the friend that's 6 hours late and people are waiting on you and they're frustrated and they miss opportunities. You want to, and I'm a person that runs about 5 minutes late myself, but you always want to be mindful and respectful of windows. You inform people, you let them know, and then you can manage your time more effectively. So if I know I'm always running 5 minutes late, I might tell myself something starts 30 minutes earlier. So when I'm 5 minutes late, I'm still 25 minutes early, right? So those are the kind of things that can be very helpful. Just respecting that people have different personal and physical and financial boundaries. We don't want to be pushing people to do things that they're not comfortable with, just because that may be something we want. And it's important for us to share that time, right? Give everybody what they need. The show is not always about us. I know that you are probably the most amazing character on the show. However, it is important that you share that spotlight. And so when people call you and they're like, oh, hey, how are you doing? You also ask them how they're doing and you check in with them and vice versa. And we also want to make sure that you are open and honest about what you can and cannot do. Sometimes we overpromise and underdeliver because we want to be available to people when we simply can't be. Sometimes you're going to miss that event from this person that you very much love and care about because there's a conflict. But I can address that in other ways. Like, hey, I won't be able to make it to your big moment, but I might send you a video beforehand. I might send you something to the event to remind you that I'm there with you in spirit. And then I will set up something after the event or before the event to support you in the ways that I can. Consistency. No one likes a person who is not going to follow through, who isn't somebody that you can count on. So it's important that whatever you're doing it every single time. You're showing up, you're being present. That makes a lot of difference to people. Also, initiating. We don't like it when we're the ones that's always planning. As a planner, I very much appreciate when other people take the lead. Sometimes I like to be able to sit back and enjoy and not have to be the one trying to figure things out. That can be very stressful. Now, some of us do it because we got some control issues and we want to map out every single moment. But again, this is sharing the light. So allowing other people to be nurtured, that other people have skills and abilities too. It won't be the same as when you do it, but it shouldn't be, right? Because we're all different people and we want to make sure that we're nurturing the different talents that we all have. That's what makes us unique and makes our relationships work out well. We want to make sure that we're patient with people because people are going to not have great days all the time. Now, there's a difference between somebody having a moment, they apologize for it because apologies, authentic, true, sincere apologies are a very important part of friendship as opposed to someone who is just constantly critical, unhealthy patterns that they're engaging in. They make you less than, make you shrink, right? So there's a difference between that and the friend that was like, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry, I forgot your birthday. But they come back and they make up for that, right? Because we all have life that just is lifing. We also want to make sure that when we're in a friendship and we are being a friend, we're our true, authentic selves. I don't need your representative to show up. I don't need for you to feel like you got to put on a mask. I need for you to be able to be yourself because that's who the people are actually in a relationship with, right? So we want to have healthy, supportive relationships. Then that means I need to know who I am. First, know thyself, and then I can talk to other people about expectations and what I need from them. And that brings us to that next point of asking for what you need. Sometimes we feel like we're a burden or that we're the responsible ones or we're the strong ones, and that means we can't ask for help and we can't ask for support. Then again, that relationship isn't authentic and you're not going to be able to get what you need, which is going to build what? Resentment. And so it's important for us to be able to make sure that we're asking for what we need and we're able to be able to share. Sometimes we're so busy trying to hide ourselves because we're fearful of being judged or that people won't love and care about us, that they'll leave us, that we don't tell them things. And it's important for us to be able to find safe spaces for us to share, which does mean there need to be safe people. But sometimes, even when people are safe, we have difficulty sharing because of shame. We talked about that in some of our other examples of, or some of our other podcasts, rather. So I do think it's important that we try to be purposeful, but also positive, right? So you want to be purposeful and intentional when you're in relationships with people, that you're expressing their value to you, that you're doing things that they enjoy, but that you're doing things you enjoy. Also, that you're creating the kind of environment that you want to have. But we're talking about there's so much negativity, but I'm bringing the negativity, or we're constantly going to this place of negativity, then that's the place we're going to stay in. And so it's important for us to be intentional about being positive. I like a good fast from negativity because sometimes it really allows you to realize, like, oh, yeah, I really, can either be very self deprecating or judgmental when it comes to other people. There are going to be disagreements. You're going to have arguments. We want to be able to respectfully disagree. We want to be able to address things when we're calm, right? So when people hurt our feelings, we don't want to speak to them when we're still in that intense pain because I'm going to lash out and say some things to you that I'm going to later regret. So I want to make sure that I'm able to communicate in a calm tone, express what was hurtful to me, and let's talk about how to change some unhealthy patterns, which means I need to be very mindful of my communication, right? Sometimes we're very hurtful with our words, and then we expect people to still be loving and kind to us when we're not loving and kind to them. So we do need to attend to our own wounds and unhealthy patterns. Here's your plug for therapy in this episode, and you may need to work with a provider on that. And also on healthy communication skills, because sometimes we don't know how to talk to people because we didn't grow up in environments where people talked about things in healthy ways. Maybe people were avoidant or dismissive, or maybe they were violent, and maybe they were aggressive. And so being able to have these kinds of healthy things is what allows friendship to grow and develop, and potentially a romantic relationship as well. So, I know that adults struggle with creating friendships, and so I do want to talk a little bit about how to create healthy social support networks. I do think it's important for there to be some face to face activities. And I know that it can be easier sometimes to do things by phone or maybe we're gaming, but you do need to actually see people, be in their space. A lot can be lost in text. A lot can be lost over the phone sometimes. When you're in that person's space and you get the benefit of their nonverbals as well as their verbals, you get to see them, you get more context. That's helpful. But also, we know that it takes about 70 interactions to create a friendship. So that means we do actually need to have some good face-to-face time. That's how I see how you treat other people. That's how you see how I treat other people. It gives us an opportunity to sometimes go more in depth. And it allows us to be able to create that intimacy that sometimes eye contact helps to facilitate. Be intentional about scheduling time to get to know a person. We'll meet people, we'll get their number, they'll get our number, and then we don't schedule anything. And we're like, yeah, it just didn't work out. No, there wasn't any attempts made. It's not that it didn't work out. But also being realistic about our expectations of other people. Sometimes we expect that people are going to constantly be available to us. So if I'm a night owl, I think you ought to be up talking to me 10, 11, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning. And that goes back to the boundaries and respecting people's time, wanting to be clear about like everybody's schedule isn't the same. And so what time are we going to be able to have? And also, is it realistic for me to expect us to talk every day? Because not all friends are going to be your everyday friends. You may have some friends that would love to talk to you every day. You may have some friends that have a lot of other activities they're nurturing, including their self-care, and talking to you every day could be draining to them, right? We have people that are on that spectrum of introversion to extroversion, and everybody needs their time to themselves. So these expectations are really important, not only about what you want other people to give you, but also what you're able to give other people. I encourage people to explore groups with similar values. You may join a community organization. You may have a faith-based institution that you become a member of. You may volunteer somewhere. You may go to a gym or join a sports team. There might be a meetup event, right? So these are some ways that you can connect with people who may have similar interests to you. You do have to introduce yourself to people. We have this expectation that just because we sit in a space that magically people are going to come and engage with us. But no, you actually have to engage with other people, which may mean you want to practice what you say. If you're an oversharer, you may want to like, hey, let me bring that back in and let me practice some ways that I can have engagements with people where I'm not telling them too much or doing too much early investing when I haven't even established whether or not this person has the potential to be a good friend to me. We want to make sure that we're attentive to our body language and our facial expressions. Sometimes we can look very closed, and then other times we can look really desperate. Like I've definitely had people who gave too much too quickly, and it was off-putting because it's like, oh, okay, wait a minute, don't be inviting yourself to my house. Now we just met. How about we meet over here and get a little smoothie? So we want to be very mindful about how we approach a situation and our expectations that other people will be in the same place we are. And again, that may be some things that we need to address in therapy, particularly if I have difficulty being by myself or I've been given some feedback that I may be codependent or clingy or needy, or that I might be on the other end of the spectrum, hard to approach, hard to read, distant, and cold. So want to address those things as we're working to try to create relationships. I absolutely believe that you can use social media, but social media shouldn't be your only mechanism for connecting. You may find out about events that are going on in social media. You may find out about neighborhood events. You may find out about events that may be going on in communities near yours. You also, at work, there may be some mechanism of communication that, oh, hey, there's going to be some social events happening at work. So all of these are good ways. I encourage people to have a variety of things they're doing and not just focus on any one way in order to meet people. So with regard to attending to your mental, social relationships, when they are healthy, have been shown to have a positive impact. Everyone has people, but first you need to know who you are before you're going to be able to recognize who your people are. All right? Be well.